And looks like we're back. Where's the next round? Yeah, let's play first. I like playing first. Oh, his hand looks pretty good to me. All of my thoughts about not being able to play a Soulfire Grandmaster on turn 1. Well, I guess you can't play it on turn 1 in a non-powered cube, but you know, turn 2 is kind of silly. We can do it here. Have fun not tapping that for mana, because that's what's up. We can also just kill it with Burst Lightning, but I want to play the Revoker anyway. We'll see. They may not block. It's possible they don't block. Kavu answers it so strongly next turn anyway, but I mean, they're going to play something else, and we've got potentially Ral Zarek next turn. Yeah, they didn't block, which is actually fine. It lets us leave up Burst Lightning while revoking it. So they get no mana off of it next turn. They may have to invest some mana in getting this guy dead if they want to use it, and Flame Tongue Kavu don't care. Could also just Ral Zarek, tap it, untap the mountain, and attack them with it. Do I like that? I kind of do. I kind of do. Does that make me crazy? It might. This is sort of what I wanted to be doing with this deck. It's like we can, I think, start going to the face with the Burst Lightning forever now, if that's what we want to do. And we may get some turns in a row here in a little bit. Chandra? Okay. I think we can answer a Chandra. Problem is we're going to lose our buddy here. Yeah, it's kind of sad. Kind of sad. But we'll survive. So I can FTK the Battlement, which we're locked into doing now. Attack Chandra. And then get her out of here. So everything's answered, everything's fine. Our long-term game plan is a little suffering because of it, but it's not the end of the world. A top? Sure. I mean, you have to attack with it, right? I think, do I want to trade? Or just want to, I think I just want to kill this. Geist looks good. This is what our deck is supposed to do. I don't think top goes in an aggressive style deck, but I don't know my opponent's entire deck list, so I can't really say that like for sure. But I can say generally you want to play top in a deck that has a lot of shuffle effects. I mean, it's kind of cute to set up a Cascade potentially with your Bloodbraid Elf. But they're just kind of dead now. And I don't think derping around with the top's going to help them. Could be wrong. Well, there's the shuffle. That's cool. So maybe the top does belong here. Don't know what that is. I do know it's not going to save them. All right. This is Den Protector, maternal witness, if you will. It's also interesting that they have Sarkhan too, so we need to be aware of that with our Planeswalkers, that they're not necessarily safe. And that's a tougher one for us to answer. Grandmaster really pulled his weight there. But that was just kind of a really good draw for us, and I think if they're Jund colors, probably not a great draw for them. That said, they did get to look at a lot of cards. I still am not in love with the top. Like, I feel like that's not a thing, but who knows. The Revoker was okay there. It's probably better against our opponent than it was against the last one, because it does look like they're playing some Planeswalkers and some Mana Dudes. It's like it does a thing. Ratchet Bomb, not really the droid I'm looking for here. I don't have enough card draw to want the Elixir. Pillar of Flame's fine, but as a sorcery, I'm not in love with it. I think we just run this back. Storm Breath is still not a great finisher here. Beetleback may be better. We can cast it a little earlier. I guess it swings back and hits Sarkhan, but it doesn't kill him. Love the conscripts. Pestermite's fine. If there's a matchup for the Serendib, this is it. I don't think there's a matchup for the Serendib. I'm going to run it back. We were built to play games like this, not to beat another combo deck. We just don't have the counter magic to do that. We would need things like Spell Pierce and Counterspell and things of that nature. I think this hand's keepable on the draw because it's got a lot of interaction. It's obviously got two cards that are relatively dead, but we can stop most early creature starts. I do probably want to play that now before I start running out my burn spells, because we're like a burn spell away from it doing a thing. And we can't kill that with it anyway, so here we are. I could just run out the Revoker again. If my play next turn is to just play the thing in the ice anyway, why not slow him down? Because it might get better for Sarkhan. But generally speaking, if they want to play that, I want to nullify it. Untapped land? No. I was going to say it would be really good for us to hit an untapped land because I could save the thing in the ice, burn it. Like, they're going to ramp out whatever they want unless I burst lightning it now. I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to think they need one more mana to do what they want. Because, like, they should have had access to enough mana this turn anyway to do whatever, right? Okay, if it's kill my dude, it kind of doesn't matter. I guess I may as well knock out their dude. Like, it gives us something that's at least drawing the game to a conclusion. It takes them off of more ramp. That's kind of what the little burn spells are for. Now, if I rip an untapped land off the top, we can have a fun turn. Even if I don't, we can still answer Nissa. We're just left with a 4/4, which eventually we're going to borrow. There's very little chance that they block, but if our guy's not blocking, it should be attacking. I thought there's a chance they take it anyway, so why not grab a little bit of free damage. We got to answer Nissa. The only downside here is if they have exactly BBE, which they have, and I still might not want to block because we're still taking them off of that. That's probably, from our perspective, the best card they could hit, but we'll have to look at hanging back and trading off now. And Spellskite's not a bad way to discourage some attacks. Like, we're going to keep taking 4 from that swamp. But as soon as we hit a land, it's not as much of a problem anymore. All right, you got me. I held him back to block. That's what I'm going to do with him. I want your stuff off the board. Flame Slash nicely handles this. And I suppose cuts them off a land, which we just gave them back with the battlement. And slows down the Advocate from being a problem too. So let's just get rid of this. And now we've got everything under control and we're just looking to rip some lands and we can get back into this game. And if they would like to force their way through a Spellskite, that's absolutely fine by me. God, as soon as we hit that land, the fact that it's turn 8 and we're still playing without our 4th land drop, I think is indicative of what this deck can do. All they want at this point, I suppose, is lands. So they can cast whatever giant thing they're going to kill me with. I'd really rather they didn't. But sometimes you eat the bear, and sometimes the bear eats you. Sarkhan. Why wouldn't it be Sarkhan? That I can't really interact with. Well, that's almost comical at that point on turn 9 not to have 3 lands in your deck. But I believe that most games of Limited are determined by who draws the right number of lands versus spells. So, like, there's no reason to beat yourself up. We had some plays, we made some decisions, we got to play Magic, and you're not guaranteed to get to play out a game of good Magic where you go back and forth with your opponent when you sit down. Like, don't think that's what you're walking into, because it's not, right? Like, we had to decide whether or not to play the Thing in the Ice before we started burning the elves. There were a lot of decisions to be made there. At the end, it didn't matter because we never drew any more lands, but I don't think that's a real factor. Like, we drew so well in the first game, I don't think you can really complain about that. All right, going back on the play, there's some argument to cut the Soulfire Grandmaster, but I think I still like it. With them having all those ground things, I wonder if I don't want the Slag Storm, and just be aware it's in the deck. Maybe we can play around it. Maybe we can use it to nug a Planeswalker. I kind of want it. And the Spellskite doesn't look like it's particularly strong here, so let's make that swap and go in. Like, I'm not trying to protect one thing. This hand looks good. It's a potentially good Slagstorm hand if they don't have specifically that for their ramp. If they don't have exactly the Overgrown Battlement, like if they play out 2 ramp dudes and we're able to storm them away, that's a really good start for us. Like, we haven't seen their entire deck, but I think it's reasonable to assume they're playing some Mana Elves if they're playing the little Tinder dude. I can't remember his name, but the 2 mana 1/1 that they just played. Alright, so we'll play out the Island. If they don't play anything and we draw another blue source, we'd like to have Dissolve up. If they do and we have to go for a Slagstorm, we can. Battlement we can't interact with other than Roast, and I think I'm pretty happy to do that, especially since it gets me my other blue source this turn. I think I let them have that, and then Slagstorm next turn. No, I'm resolving a Batterskull next turn, and they have to deal with that. Like, it's 5 cards to 5 cards. Do I not want to just burn this? I will see what the next turn leads. I don't have to Slagstorm that now. I can play the Batterskull, which doesn't die to the Slagstorm, and Slagstorm after. Like, it's not a big deal to take a little bit of damage. Okay, I think with that board state, we take our 2 for 1 and move along with our life. It'd be nice if this was actual counterspell, but it's not. Vraska, sure. So I kind of want to be able to take Vraska and do the ultimate next turn. So I think that means we dissolve their play this turn and then just borrow Vraska next turn. So whatever they play here, we counter, and then we're just gonna borrow her for a minute. Yeah, I can't imagine not dissolving whatever this is. Yeah, get out of here. Okay, I just want to borrow your Planeswalker for a minute. You can have it back when I'm done. But we need this for just a second, because, oh, I'm sorry, it's gone, but yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anyone die to assassin tokens. I'd sure like to. Oh, you don't want us to have any fun. No fun at all. This just puts them mostly dead. So I'd rather do that. Yeah, because if they can't block this, we can just monstrous it and at least deal 1 and probably be fine there. So that game went better. We did get to Ultimate of Vraska, which isn't in our deck, which is pretty cool. That's why I like Zealous Conscripts. They are a bit overzealous at times, but they were exactly the right amount of zealous there. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I will see you in the finals in just a moment. Well, I guess it's not the finals, it's game 3 because we lost game 1. But you know what I mean, the final match of our series.